Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Pillars of Eternity. I'm your host, Colors Fade. It's episode number 4. We're in Gilded Vale. We're going to talk to this person over here, maybe. There we go. We got to get her circle. Caldara de Baranzi. The squat, distended body of an elderly dwarf woman dangles from a thin, crooked bough that sags at the tug of her noose. The bloated purple flesh of her neck, worn away in patches like moth-eaten linen, bulges over the rope that suspends her, and her lifeless head lolls forward rigidly from one side to the other when the breeze shifts. You perceive a faint glow around her that casts no light on its surroundings, but there is a tepid warmth to it, and you feel somehow that you could reach out and touch it, not with your hands, but with some aspect of yourself that has no worldly dimension. You take a deep breath, clearing your mind, focusing on your objective. As you exhale, you feel yourself spreading out towards the hanging woman, perceiving all that lies between you and her with new, unfamiliar awareness. Once you have expanded enough to reach her, there is a sudden jolt to your mind, a ringing, electric surge of images and words and sounds. Involuntarily, you shut your eyes and feel yourself being pulled down to some deeper consciousness in a space occupied only by you and the hanging woman. And when you open them again, she is staring at you with eyes clouded in a milky fog, her body still swaying in a wind you no longer feel from a tree that stands planted in a misty void. The woman gives a slow nod of her head, the rope creaking as she does so, and she smiles at you.
Have you come here for me, dear, or have you gotten lost? It is both, I think. Yes?
How are you able to speak to me?
Is that what we're doing? Perhaps it just seems that way. Perhaps it is the easiest way for your mind to make sense of it. I think it is a very good choice.
Am I imagining this?
No, I think not. A pity that. It would be simpler. A mercy even. To not have to wander anymore, no? Alas, we are here, you and I, wherever here may be.
I need to understand something that's happened to me. She nods, a look of pity on her face, as though consoling a child.
The world looks a little different than it used to, is that it? Feels like you're noticing things for the first time that have always been there. You have seen past the shroud. It only takes an instant. Your soul remembers, yes? Remembers how it sees when it leaves the body, like being reminded of a dream you had forgotten. You are a watcher now, and a watcher you will stay.
What's a watcher?
What indeed? Long hours have many animancers spent studying such things. Not I, though. Not I. I'll tell you what I know, though, since fair is fair, and here we are visiting, you and I, and it reminds me of better times. Souls pass on, some say through Audra stones, which are the blood veins of the world. They leave the world for a time and are reborn into it, sometimes more than they were before, but usually less and seldom the same. For all souls there is a time where they do not live, yet have not passed on, and those souls roam the world, same as you or I, either leaving or lost. But no one sees them because they have forgotten how. A watcher sees, though, knows what to look for. And sometimes they know a person just by looking at them, know where they've been in ages past when their bodies were other bodies. See memories even their owner can't recall. A wonder to behold when all goes well, a wonder.
What do you mean by when all goes well?
Oh, nothing to be afraid of, I'm sure. It's just much to take in for some. Sometimes there's trouble sleeping or other difficulties.
She smiles at you reassuringly, fanning out a tuft of long whiskers that sprouts from one of her cheeks.
You should see old Merwald. He could tell you much more than I. A watcher just like you. Helped many in his day. Took up in an old keep no one would claim. Not far, not far. Kadnua, beyond the Black Meadow. He will welcome the company.
I think I survived a bivouac. Do you know why that would be?
Did you now, dear? My, that would be something, wouldn't it? Could be luck, could certainly be. A storm can be a careless thing. Or maybe it got its hands around your soul but couldn't pick it up. A soul can be heavy if it stayed in one piece through its time. Strong souls, we call them in the trade. Cold, I mean. Called them. Those days are all behind me, no?
You said souls break apart over time.
Oh, yes. Entropy. Rimagan's work. We know little of why or how. We lose pieces of ourselves when we die and pick up pieces of others when we are born again, but less than what we lost. We tried to stop it with the animantic sciences, but with little success. A very small few resist Rimergan's influence and stay together through some force of defiance, at least for a time. But they all succumb eventually, I think. Me? I'll bore you to tears, though.
What happened to you? She laughs, a rasping, choked cackle escaping between rows of buttery yellow teeth, causing her body to bob up and down with each spasm. Seeing your blank expression, she catches herself.
Oh, come now. Such a question. As though the answer were plain as a rope tied for strangling. Allow an old dwarf her last bit of cheer. Well, I came where I was needed, didn't I? Offered my services to Lord Radric for a pittance. A humble pittance. I was to examine the Lord's wife, see why the gods have seen fit to poison her womb. Studied her for months, looked high and low for impurities, tested her valence, the permeability of her essence. Do you know what I found? Nothing at all. A healthy woman, head to toe, blessed with a beautiful soul. Such a sweet woman, too. Meek, but warm-hearted. A few months' time, and the lord of the house demanded answers. For a time, I told him what he wanted to hear. Oh, yes, my lord. She is riddled with imbalances. I must have time to cure her. As the birth drew near, he grew impatient, as lords do. And this is where I've ended up.
What's an animancer?
A student of the soul. Something so basic, yet so poorly understood. But so many breakthroughs have been made in my lifetime. Had been made. Had been. To hear the locals tell it, we're a gang of soul manglers that preys upon the weak-minded. And the worst of us are. But the best of us, the best? Inspirations, miracle workers. My parents were soul twins. Miserable before they met, empty inside. It was an animancer who helped one find the other, turned their lives around. You wouldn't believe the stories. Amnesiacs helped to remember their lives. The suicidal brought back from the brink of oblivion. The elderly afforded extra moments to say their goodbyes. How soon we forget when we're afraid. It's a fascinating science, A fascinating time to be alive in a place like Deerwood that does not control the research, no? I love the Valian Republics for many things, but their recent caution will leave them behind, I fear. Of course, dear.
Well, that's all we need to know from her.
Goodbye, my dear. It was lovely visiting.
Caldera closes her eyes and her head slumps forward over the noose, and your surroundings seem to bleed into your vision from some unknown place of waiting. Crucible of the soul. Aloth looks at you through narrowed eyes. Are you all right? You seem lost just now. Apparently, I'm a watcher. Well, that is interesting. And I expect this has something to do with the hooded figures in the ruins? In any case, I appreciate your honesty. Since we're traveling together, it's probably wise for us to share these things. Do you know anything about Watchers? Only that they're rare, and that they seem to have unique insights into certain soul conditions. He coughs, as you just demonstrated. Let's see about
17 and a half.
The smell of pipe smoke, at once earthy and sweet, winds its way into your nostrils. Your eyes trace the smoke to its origin, where you find a broad man with straw-colored hair leaning against a mossy rock wall, his pipe held to his lips with one meaty hand. He looks you directly in the eye, but the look is not aggressive. He regards you with a peculiar smirk.
17 and a half. Well, could be 18, depending on how you count the dwarf woman.
What are you talking about?
The people hanging from the tree. 18 of them. Well, last I counted, anyway.
Aloth frowns. Is that what you people do for fun around here?
Name's Edér. Though to the people around here, might as well be 19. Don't think I'd put you much higher than 22, 23 tops. You look like the sort that likes to get involved.
What was that about the dwarf?
The dwarf woman. You were trying to figure out whether to count her as a full person. I think you oughta.
What makes you think I was interested in the dwarf woman? He looks at you a moment, his brow arched, his smirk broadens.
I was smoking over here, saw you staring at her. Twice I refilled my pipe. You never so much as blinked. Your mouth was so slack I took you for a Radric at first.
Do you know what a watcher is?
Careful, friend. Let's not use that word round here. There'd be any number of Radric bootlickers within earshot. Ciphers, animancers, watchers. Same thing in the eyes of folks around here, Radric especially. They come through these parts all the time with their cures, preying on the desperate. None of them are who they claim to be.
Ciphers and watchers? I'm 2 out of 3.
Of course, seeing you with that funny look, I'd be halfway inclined to believe you were having some kind of communion with that dwarf. Either case, maybe I'm not 19 after all. No offense.
The writing in this game is so very good. So enjoyable compared to some of the lesser writing of more recent titles. Well, none taken, no offense. Good. They don't mean it personal when they hang folks here. I have to remind myself.
The town's had it in for me for a long time now. Only fellow who ever stuck up for me, well, he's number 18 up there. My headman on the farm. Used to be my captain during the war.
The war? The Saints' War. Only one in my lifetime. Fella decides he's the living incarnation of Aethys. Overthrows Radeceras, marches on Deerwood. So we gave him a Deerwoodian hello. What's that?
Blew him up.
He smiles at this, but it is the smile of one recounting a joke for the effect, rather than the enjoyment. Aethys is a god, right? God of rebirth and redemption. Formerly, anyhow. Maybe they call him something different where you're from. So why was your headman hanged? Got involved. Radric sent men down here the other day. Said they had it on good authority someone in town was working with Kolsk, plotting Radric's overthrow. Said if he didn't come forward right then and there, they'd hang every last one of us. No one was coming forward, so Swithin, that's my head man, he steps up and says it's him. They took him at his word. He sighs and shakes his head, his eyes fixed on the tree. Bound to happen sooner or later. If not for plotting against Redrick, then for protecting me. So Kolsk, someone who got tired of all the hangings, he's on the run now. Probably will be till they catch him. What's the town have against you?
Pick the wrong god. That's what it comes down to. Used to be a lot of Aethys worshippers in Gilded Vale. That mess of rocks over there, that was a temple to him, to give you some idea. Then one day, somebody named Widewind shows up on Deerwood's doorstep. Says he's the living flesh of Aethys. Got an army with him. Suddenly, Aethys isn't so popular in these parts. My brother Woden and me, neither of us believed it. No way was that Aethys. He enlisted, then I did too. But, he didn't make it back. After the war, people took to punishing Aethys worshippers, accusing them of treason. Got real ugly, especially after the legacy started. Folks needed someone to blame. I was safe because I fought, but then this rumor starts that my brother, that he was on the wrong side. And I wasn't so safe anymore. Until my headman stepped in and said they'd have to hang him to get to me. Seems that's no longer a concern. Of course, the townies don't do the hanging these days, but when Raedrick's men come, they got no problem doing the pointing.
You can see why I was eager to leave, Aloth says. I see, if you're up next to be hanged, why are you still here? Drinking, mostly. Point of fact, I'm on my way out. Just haven't figured out where I'm going yet. Not a whole lot of places out there that don't think Widewind's legacy started with Widewind. Well, we could travel together. Where are you headed? Some place called Cadnua. There's an old watcher there who might be able to help me.
Seem to remember hearing something about that years ago. He tamed that place. People would seek him out for all kinds of things. Troubles of the soul, questions for the departed. Of course, that was back when you didn't have to say watcher with a hush on your breath. A man such as that, there'd be things I'd want to ask him. Don't know why I never thought of it before. Not sure how I feel about setting out with a stranger, and a strange one at that. But, truth be told, you might be the only one in town who wouldn't feel some relief seeing me swing from that tree.
And there's a finer reason if I ever heard one, Aloth says.
All right, then. Guess I'll do some sightseeing. Long as you're not the one picking the sights.
So that gives us 3, and 2 of our team have leveled. We're going to have to grab some levels. We want to go in here, and I don't know how much money it takes to get a mercenary. I forgot we have 250, and that's probably not enough. But, well, and there's simple clothing, which we might be able to sell. We may have to go do some work. So let's level up here. So we have our skills. We want survival, bonus damage worth is flanked. I'd like to get that up. I feel like we got to keep pushing mechanics up if we can. Survival and athletics go up. Those are the 3 we're going to do for this. So now we get our first level 2 power. So here are some neat choices. This is amplified thrust, and it bounces psychic energy harmfully off the target and onto the closest nearby enemy, causing pierce damage. So this is one of those spells I was saying that works through one of your allies. So if you're in the second row with a reach weapon and you aim this at the person in front of you, then it hits the nearest enemy that they're attacking, which is really awesome. I love it. Mental binding overwhelms the target's mental ability to communicate with its own body, paralyzes it, and causes its soul to emit a shockwave that can leave nearby enemies stuck. That's really nice. We're going to want that. Mind blades co-ops the target's essence, generating a slashing blade of force that attacks them before leaping up to 5 targets. So it's kind of like a chain lightning kind of spell. Really nice. Phantom foes invades the minds of targets in the area of effect, causing them to believe they are surrounded by phantom foes, leaving them flanked for the duration. Their deflection is reduced. So this doesn't quite do flanking like like Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons a little different. It's just that it reduces their deflection, so it makes them easier to hit. So this minus 10 enemies needed for flank for 26 seconds. Frightened as well, though. So that's nice. Psycho Vampiric Shield. This uses the target's strength of mind against it, stealing a portion of its resolve in order to better deflect incoming attacks. So this is what I was talking about. It's plus 25 deflection, where you get ways to buff yourself, which works out really, really well. So then you can run around the field a little stronger. So this is really nice. I'm going to grab Mental Binding. I like that one. Paralyze, it's great. Let's grab those two things. Aloth is a little harder for me to figure out because I haven't played him in so long. So he's got a really high lore skill. And then he's got some points in mechanics. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put points in survival for him. I think, or no, let's go athletics. I want him to be able to heal himself. Let's go lore. I don't need mechanics because I'm going to take mechanics. So Aloth doesn't need to do it. So we'll leave that and carry over a point. And then he's got a bunch of spells. There are several good choices here, and I always struggle with spellcasters in this game. I just don't know what to do. There's so many good ones. Slicken is a nice choice. You're going to make people prone. The area of effect is not too big, and the duration is not too long, but of course he will modify that with his intelligence. So that's a choice. And then there's a couple of really good ones. Bewildering Spectacle is a type of confusion, so you could get enemies attacking each other. Binding Web is, of course, classic web stuff. Curse of Blackened Sight has a really small radius, but it'll blind enemies for a time. Fetid Caress is kind of nice because it'll paralyze someone, and then it sickens those nearby. I really like that one a lot. Miasma of Dull-Mindedness is going to strip off 6 perception, intellect, and resolve for a pretty good, healthy chunk of time on a group of people. I like that. And then Ray of Fire and Necrotic Lance are also really nice offensive spells. I'm going to roll with this, with the ability to paralyze and the ability to slicken, and we'll see how that works out. All right, we're going to go in here and see if we can get ourselves a priest. So there is a priest character in the game that's an NPC, and unfortunately his stats are set up really poorly. In addition to that, he's just another grumpy priest, which, since I already have played Pathfinder Kingmaker recently, and since I've just had it with grumpy priests, I don't really want to use him in the game. So we're going to see if we can get one. So I'd like some reliable help. Do you know of anyone looking for work? Well, I wouldn't say I can speak from experience, but we do have certain sorts coming by looking for work from time to time. If you want to hire someone, I'd be happy. Let me see who you have to work with. So we can get a level 1 adventurer, which is what I would like. Okay, for 250 copper, let's do this. So we can build out a class. So we're going to build ourselves a priest. We're going to start with a female. I'm going to make her either a human or an elf. What do we get? Dexterity +1 and perception +1. Humans get resolve +1 and might +1. There's a dwarf with minus an elf, an Orlin, which gets resolve and perception, and then a godlike. Dexterity and intellect. Ooh, godlike. Okay. Oh, yes, we want... I know what I want. Okay, let's go godlike. The moon godlike. I really like the look is why I go. Every encounter when reduced below 75, 50, and 25% endurance, moon godlike generate waves of healing moonlight that restores endurance to them and their allies. It's kind of a nice skill. They make ideal healers. Wellspring of Life grants a bonus to might, constitution, dexterity when endurance is low. I like this. This is the one I've used in the past. It makes a really good class. Body type. Let's see. We could go as an elf or a human. I'm going to go as an elf. Let's do that. And then we want a priest. Holy Radiance. And then they have spells. They get +1 athletics, +2 lore. So, and then priest deity. So we already have an Aethist person in a party with Edér. So their favorite dispositions are benevolent and honesty. There's also Barath, favorite dispositions, stoic, rational. Magran is what I think the other priest in the game is, the NPC priest. Aggressive and clever. He's more like cranky. There's Skane and Whale. We're going to go with Aothis. We're going to have a party of... It also ties into Pillars of Eternity 2 pretty well. So might, dexterity, intellect, they're most important ones, especially intellect and dexterity. You want to be able to cast really fast. Might affects their healing. So we'll run those up there. And then let's see. Perception affects interrupt, accuracy, constitution. You could strip a point off of this to go might higher. We'll make her a little more squishy, but I like this. This will work. We'll do this. Now, culture. Oh, we can get we could get another point into something else here. The Deadfire is going to give us a dexterity. This is going to give us a resolve. Old Vela is now the crumbling remnants of an empire of warring merchant nations. So that gets an intellect +1. I kind of like that. Let's make her Old Valen, and then we can do this. We can give her intellect back and give us constitution. This, I like this. Okay, Old Vela. Now we get a point. Aristocrat will give her 2 lore, so we can make her a lore-heavy person. Lore and mechanics we don't need. Old Valen artist. Okay, there we go. That's also +2 lore. Or lore and athletics, Old Valen mercenary. I like that because then she can use athletics and that'll give her her own heal as well. Okay, let's do that. Primary, we got to give her a face. I've used this face for a fire godlike cipher before, which was a lot of fun. This is the one I like. Okay, head. There we go. They have a head that matches. It's really nice. Cool. Oh, what kind of female do I need?
Yes. I shall lead us.
Ooh.
Yeah! Shh. Yes.
Leading the way.
No prisoners!
Oh my.
They'll never know I'm here.
Kind of like that one.
Watch and learn.
Yeah, we'll use that one. All right. Celestia. There we go. And we have her on our team, which is really nice. Does she come with anything? She's got a little bit of... She's got mail armor. Damage resistance 9. Okay, and she's got this big, huge honking Morning Star. Two-handed, which she's not really going to use. We're going to get her a wand later, which will be nice. Okay. All right. That's awesome. Got some party members here. Let's take a look at this. Let's do, we do this. I think these people here want to cause us a little bit of trouble. Villager. Maybe not. Oh, what's on this table? Stuff. There's silver loose. There's the calendar. Wonder if that can be sold for anything. Anybody that has a name is somebody that you can touch to read their kind of history. There's a drunkard. And who are you then? Another fool come to answer Redrick's invitation? Our great lord has my sister run out of town after the boy was born. She was the only family I had left. Not sure where she is now. Blazes, I need another drink. Okay. I had the impression that there was someone here that causes trouble, but I don't see him. So we'll head on out. Do a little bit of adventuring here before the episode ends. Alright, friends. I'm going to go over here. Oh, there's a twig over here. Let's go see about this place. Actually, let's pick a custom one here. Do this. I want you up front, buddy. We'll be like this, flanking. There we go. Who's this person? Child. Child, what are you doing there? Well then, what's going on down here? A rising sun and 3 dawn stars. The symbol of Aethys.
I haven't been in here for, must be 5-6 years. Used to be real nice. Bright. Warm.
A man lies resting against the wall, lit by the dim illumination of the fading sconces. He has a gaunt, fox-like aspect, and his face is pale and damp with sweat. One arm is held loosely against his side, sleeve soaked with blood. Gives you an anxious glance as you near, his features twisted with pain.
Good day, stranger.
You were some... Never mind. Whoever you are, you've traveled a long way to reach a dark place. This temple isn't what it used to be. Probably for the best. Times being as they are. I'm no looter, if that's what you're thinking. No one of the faithful either. Just wanted to do some good, I suppose. Got my arm clawed up for it. He regards you warily. Maybe you'd have better luck. What happened to you? I was trying to avoid the spiders. Ran into a skulder. Might have gone a little better for me if the beast hadn't knocked the sword right out of my hand. Good blade, too. Probably still lying there in the dust. But I'm not, so that's alright. It's not a bad wound, I think, just hurts. I could get the sword for you. That's kind of you, but there's no need. It wasn't doing me any good. You're welcome to it, if you can find it. And more, if you help me get something more important. With the arm like this, I could use your help. The man points a finger upwards. These ruins around us used to be a temple of Aethys, the scattered god. A grand temple at that. His worshippers would come from all over the Deerwood. From Raiderus, Red Saris even. Not so much from Red Saris these days, says Edér. Until the war, of course. Even then, you'd get some of the stubborn ones. The ones that couldn't get it through their heads that their god was dead and gone. I see, go on. Once the legacy started, Lord Raedric decided he'd been too lenient on the Aethosians. He had his people go in and put them to the sword, left them down there, buried under a heap of rock. After that, Raedric ordered the temple sealed. It's been years like that, up until recently. Lord Raedric hopes that if we rededicate the temple to a living god, then we'll be forgiven, and the legacy will end, see? But until then, the temple is as you see it, unguarded. That's where you come in. Those priests, maybe they didn't have a lick of sense between them, but they still didn't deserve to go like that, chopped down in their god's house. Doesn't sit right with me. If you can get down there, find the remains, maybe we can finally give them a proper burial. No small task. There's coin in it for you, if you need motivating. Aloth's cautious expression softens. A pleasant surprise to see that someone around here has a shred of respect for the dead. I'll find them. Then by the flame, I owe you a good turn. But listen, the temple's been sealed off for so long, it's crawling with creatures. But if you get past them, the priests would have been down on the lower floor. They'll be there still, if there are any. Those priests had all kinds of secret chambers, switches in the walls, trick sconces, that kind of thing. Keep an eye out, and take care down there. I wouldn't want to have to send someone else after your remains. I'll wait here by the stairs and keep a lookout. Maybe try to patch myself up some. Buried secrets. Alright, let's go see what kind of thing we can do. I want you a little bit more out in front there, bud. Okay, what's off in this direction? What the heck is that thing? Okay, it's a will-o-wisp. Immune to disease, ground, hobbled, poison, prone, sickened, and stuck. I had to do a quick check to see if I remembered what my priest does here. Okay, let's go here. Edér, what's going on with you? You've got class behavior. I want you to be aggressive. Hold ground. The fighter uses vigorous defense when engaged by more than 2 opponents. Uses unbending when below 50% endurance if per rest enabled. Defender is enabled by default, and if disabled, would be re-enabled at the start of the next combat. Alright. I'm going to leave him as none. Defend self. Let's see this. So what does he have? Knockdown Defender. The fighter adopts a more conservative combat strategy, concentrating on locking down enemies that stray too close. The fighter increases his or her number of engagement targets to 3, but at the expense of deflection. Okay. Yeah, we're going to do nothing for you. You're going to do that. And what do I have here? Crucible of the Soul. The Watcher unravels the vital essence of his or her enemies, gaining endurance in the process. 1 per rest. Okay. And then I've got my other spells up here that I can use, my abilities. Alright, so what I could do is, can I blind this thing? Poison prone, sick, and stuck. I think I can blind it. Let's do that. Aloth. No AI script selected. Damage, crowd control, spell sword. No, I don't want to use spell sword. Defensive. Crowd control, no damage. The wizard uses arcane assault as soon as combat opens. We'll just choose none. Character will seek out enemies for combat. Yeah, just start attacking that thing.
Hey there.
She's got this. I'm gonna get her up here and pull this off. This is once per encounter. Holy Radiance. It burns vessels in the vicinity and generates a modest amount of endurance for allies. Power of the priest's Holy Radiance is modified by a reputation aligned with the preferred behaviors of his or her faith. All right, my friend.
Yeah.
Go up here and take this on. What happened to Edér? He got confused. Oh no. Okay. Well, that's a shame. He's still confused. Okay.
Yeah?
I need a ranged weapon for you, sister. This thing's gonna eat me for lunch, isn't it? Let's see what else I can do. What do I have access to? I've got 19 of these. Whisper of Treason. I'm not sure I could get it to work. I don't think I can charm these, can I? Poison prone. I guess you can. We could try it. Okay, Edér, get back in there, buddy. Nope. And Edér is getting absolutely handled here. Buddy, go back, do this. Oh no, not me. I just want to attack. Edér. Oh, he's still confused. Uh-oh, this is getting ugly.
Hey there.
Sister, what do you got? These are all spells that I don't really want to have to use. But we may need it. Withdraw, yeah. Restore minor endurance. Shares a portion of the caster's divine strength, restoring some endurance to the allies in the area of effect. There we go. Now see if you can hit this.
Hi?
These things are tough. We may be in over our head being down in this dungeon. We may need to go do some other stuff. What is this? Minor missiles. Okay. This thing's near death, though. Are you done? Attack. Okay, there it is. Wow. We started to get things handed to us there. That was not good. All right, what do we have here? This parchment is worn and tattered, and the ink upon it faded. In this time of hardship. What did it say? Must have just as much faith in ourselves. Okay. Well, I think this whole dungeon might be a little bit more than we can handle right now. But we have a whole area that we went through last episode and just kind of passed over because we were by ourselves. So I think maybe we'll do that and look for the blacksmith's stuff. And maybe we can come back and do this dungeon at a more appropriate time. There's also Road East, the smithy, Ingrid's house, and the windmill. I think the windmill is something we want to go try to do early. If I remember correctly. Kind of want you there, which means I'm going to have to adjust this again, aren't I? Do this. Like that.
Of course.
What do we got here? We know there's more grain in there, Trumbull. We won't settle for scraps while you grow fat on our crops. A muffled shouting emerges from inside the mill. The first of you drunkards comes through the door, gets shot between the eyes. Gods hear me. Swainer, I'll put you down like a dog. Come away from now, lads. But we'll be back, Trumbull. And we'll have fair prices, or by the flame we'll have a reckoning. That doesn't sound good. A reckoning. Well, look here. An elven man stands before you, his relatively stocky build suggesting a life of labor. His face is pale and drawn, and his eyes wide. Behind him, a younger man and woman exchange worried glances. The miller raises a club as you enter, shakes violently in his grip. Get back if you value your life. Hold on, I'm not here to hurt anyone. The miller hesitates, lowers the club a fraction. Who are you? If Swainer roping foreigners into his little crusade now? My name is Darius. I've only just arrived in Gilded Vale. You picked a bad time to come visiting. Gilded Vale's had all its shine scraped off. It's just a big dung heap now. Swainer thinks he's king of it. They're all of them mad. Who's Swainer? The dwarf. The one standing out there spreading lies among the villagers. Bastard's been here for decades, and he hasn't gotten any kinder with time. I thought you could use some help. Those people out there seem pretty angry. Really? Trumbull sighs relief. Really as tits, could I use a friendly face? I take it you heard some part of what the crowd's asking for? Grain. As if I've got it all tucked away somewhere. Swainer's been egging that lot on for days now. They've been keeping clear so far. But if things keep on like they are, I don't know how much longer we've got before things get messy. Please, if you're not here on his behalf, maybe you could speak to Swainer. He won't listen to me anymore. Just explain that we're all getting smaller rations. We're all making sacrifices. I'll see what I can do. I'd be grateful if you did. He won't listen to me anymore, but maybe you'll have better luck. Tell him we're all having a hard time of it. And we'll all have to make some sacrifices. We'll be in your debt for it if you can convince him. I don't know if I can, but we'll give it a shot. Let's go find Mr. Swainer. Where is that punk? Where's Mr. Swainer run off to? Guess we're just gonna have to wander around and find him, aren't we? Where is he? I will find him, and then we'll come back. Swainer is in the inn. That's why I remember there being some kind of altercation in the inn.
Howdy do.
Don't know who you are, and don't much care. Keep walking. We're not here to chat with foreigners. Aloth narrows his eyes. Careful. Looks like they're cut from the same cloth as those rowdies who attacked me. Smells like it too. I saw you outside the mill. What was that about? Well, someone fancies himself a meddler, eh? What's that about? It's about Trumbull thinking he's king of the town on account of he's got the mill to his name. The dwarf's jowls quiver with rage. It's about him barely giving us anything for what the wheat we bring him, and then cutting our purses when we need to buy grain. It's about farmers going hungry while some bastard gets rich off their crops. That's what it's fucking about. Now shove off. I see. Well, Trumbull says you've been threatening his family. Oh, I bet he has. All nobility, that Trumbull. 2 big, strong kids. Purest soul in all the Gilded Vale. The dwarf sneers. Coward's sending out messengers to handle his business. Well, you can go and tell him we haven't had a solid meal in days on account of him, and we can't afford a good drink on account of him. But we won't be bullied by some foreigner on account of him. I see. Haul Swainer up out of his chair. If you want to fight with Trumbull, let's make it a fair one. Hey, hold on there. Swainer raises his hands defensively, eyes big. No need to get nasty. We won't go near the miller. Blazes. We haven't done a thing to him. We're just hungry as all. And looks like that isn't changing. You want to side with that rotten bastard, you go right ahead. You and his whole fucking town. Well then, we will report to Tremble, but I do want to try to sell a couple items here. If she will take them.
Hail, traveler.
Let's see. Could I see what you have for sale? Mostly because I want to sell stuff. I want to sell these things. Keep that dagger. I don't know why I need it, but what the hell. Camping supplies. Okay. Let's go see Trumbull again and we can close out that quest. Way over here, the miller. Let's see what he has to say.
Welcome.
You're back. Have you had any luck with Swainer? I spoke with him. And what did he say? I convinced him to leave your family in peace. What? That's... really? That's great news. I wasn't sure you'd get through to him. They're out of their minds with drink half the time. I owe you a great debt here. He pulls a coin purse from his hip and pushes it towards you. Today's earnings to show my appreciation, and you can be sure I'll let everyone know what you've done for me. Glad to help. Now, we stand a chance of getting through the year. All thanks to you. Safe travels, friend. You've earned a reputation. Reputations can be held with communities or factions in the Eastern Reach and will affect how members of that group respond to you. In some cases, friends or enemies of those groups will also react to your affiliations. Helping a group will increase your positive reputation. And negative ones will make them angry. Okay. Well, we handled the little grain business. I think our next order of business should be to rest for free in the common room, and then we're going to head north on the world map, and we're going to go back up to Valewood and try to do this sort of area over here. So folks, thanks. Another episode down. We're going to crank through these. Really appreciate you watching, and I hope some people are playing along because it's a fantastic game. It's a little slow starting. It's a little bit of a slow burn at the beginning, kind of like some good fantasy books, but it ramps up. Thanks for watching. Leave your questions, comments down below. I'll see you next time, and until then, happy gaming, everyone.